Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful Empowered Harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in on a really important and interesting topic that comes to surface, that comes to mind when you are trying to put some pieces together and get back on track with your life after you've been through a heartache, a breakup, something that's leaving you feeling shattered, lost, angry, and then also sort of a strange mix of depression or what you might consider as brooding, or just sort of like a melancholy, a sense of, hope lost, a tinge of despair. There's another word that I'm looking for that tends to plague a lot of creative people, and I think you would call it like an angst. Just sort of a mix of anger and disempowerment, but yet wanting to move on. So you can also call it frustration. But as you know, I love the English language, and there's so many descriptors that can describe a feeling of sort of depression or learned helplessness, and then avoidance tendencies when you're sort of trying to put things together while you're trying to learn and educate yourself about what has gone on in your life, in your family, in your relationships, in your profession, in your job, in your happiness, in your fulfillment, and namely your self-esteem. And when there's this feeling of like, what just happened? This is not fair. This is not right. I cannot believe this is happening to me. Why me? And all these sort of questions, tend to run through your mind, race through your heart. You can have this emotional roller coaster, being supercharged with a lot of anger, and then the flip side, wanting to shut down and isolate because you're feeling depressed. And to really better understand this feeling of apathy or depression mixed with this angst is to understand that oftentimes the root, what does really depression really mean? And then how does it really cause people to get into an avoidance tendency? Depression and feeling low, feeling down, feeling in a funk, oftentimes is because you can't quite communicate either with yourself or with specific people what it is that you want to communicate. And relationships with toxic people are well known for being eventually very difficult. Basically, there's not inability to see things eye to eye. There's not, an exchange of thoughts on a two-way street. Usually one person has the upper hand, the other person has the lower hand. The person with the lower hand, might feel like, sometimes, well, this is what I have to do to survive in the relationship. But ultimately, people don't like to be put in that position and feel disempowered, that they're not getting the full scoop, that that there's an upper hand over them, that they have the weaker hand, the lower rung in the relationship. And once again, it's like disclaimer, there's always going to be fits and starts, leads and follow in relationship. And there's going to be strengths that complement another's or offsets another's vulnerability. So, that's really where your best relationships are where the strengths and quote unquote weaknesses complement each other in relationships. You don't like to do A, I like to do A, I don't like to do B, you like to do B. Okay, great. This really works, So there's a free flow. There's a feeling of balance and harmony and mutual appreciation. When you get to really the bottom line, oftentimes there are a certain stage in relationships with people who are manipulative, controlling, don't want to show you their real side. It's difficult to be real with them. It's difficult to feel authentic. It's difficult to just come to terms and be on equal footing, level the playing field. This can result in a feeling of depression and a bottled sense of anger, fragmented thoughts, fragmented feelings, just feeling incomplete, feeling upset, and you implode or explode, whatever it is. There's this feeling and then of recurring avoidance. And avoidance will come up in a life when you're afraid to bring to the surface very uncomfortable feelings, either that you don't want to feel, that are too powerful, too overwhelming to you to bring, up right now. And so oftentimes these feelings are swept aside. swept under the rug, thrown out to the garbage, but then it comes back, I think this is yours. Return to sender, it's coming back in the mail. Here it is, I've got to deal with it again. Avoidance is oftentimes, a defense mechanism where the mind is not wanting to deal with something that's intense or extreme or causes one to grow. Especially if growing is scary. Yes, it can be. Success can be scary. Failure can be scary. Dealing with these things can be scary and overwhelming. So people oftentimes are going to suppress feelings that are overwhelming to them. What might be some examples of overwhelming feelings? Feelings of being alone, feelings of not being heard, feelings of having to work, feelings of having to be responsible, feelings of having to let somebody go, fear of abandonment, all sorts of different feelings, taking responsibility and accountability for one's emotions, being able to pick oneself up, being able to let go of apathy and, inactivity, or not wanting to face the facts and just shutting down. Shutting down, oftentimes is required. You need to stop, slow the roll, as they say nowadays. Slow your roll, cool off, come to terms and sort through some things. You might need to have a period of education, self-education, education in psychology, education in people's different personality types, or taking your awareness to the next level that, okay, I get it now. This person is this way, and I don't need to continue receiving this treatment. Or I understand this person has violated my boundaries. I need to come to terms with what that means for me. I need to come to terms with what it means to raise my standards. I need to come to terms with how to make myself feel comfortable in my own skin and being responsible and accountable for my own emotions. So these are all like lessons learned along the path. And that's why I feel it's so important that, you must go through what M. Scott Peck says, legitimate pain. We are all human beings. We have emotional hurts, physical hurts, spiritual hurts, psychic hurts, all these different things that make life, oftentimes feeling unbearable, difficult to breathe, difficult to focus, difficult to think, difficult to feel. And people oftentimes seek distraction from this overwhelmed feeling. They want to drug, drink, shop, avoid, be distracted, run away, basically, run away and hide like the old ostrich who wants to stick his head in the sand, and then he wakes up and he finds, why am I still here? It's like you're having an emotional head in the sand moment. This can bring about feelings of avoidance. Avoidance oftentimes is built up to be more than it is. The mind, and because of the emotions and the strong emotions attached, can make a mountain out of a molehill. Meaning, you can make a big mountain, a big deal, out of something which is not a big deal. There's this hypersensitivity, this overreaction, anger that feels out of control, this hypersensitivity. My feelings are hurt just when somebody, honked at me in traffic. I'm going to fall apart. Little things, people are like walking on the edge. They're walking on an emotional tightrope. It's bubbling to the surface. That is what is going on. Little things upset you. You get a paper cut. OMG, my whole day is in the pooper or whatever. Little things agitate. The dishes clinked. I can't do anything right. I forgot this, or I couldn't get my password. Now I'm yelling at the customer service. Little things. I get a hangnail and, I look awful. Little things are becoming over accentuated, over perceived. It's just like a big magnifying glass is going on the small things and making it bigger, larger than life, and tend to have these big sweeping conclusions, and then it shuts the person down again, and so the cycle continues. So if you are experiencing this state of overwhelm, begin to realize, okay, it's not as bad as my emotions are making it out to be. Let me seek a moment of calm and handle this. I can. You need to adopt an I can attitude. I can handle this. I can process this. I can sort this out. I can figure out what is making me angry. I can figure out what is making me unhappy. I can figure out that I can change my reaction to the situation so that things will come together and things will work out. You need to adopt an I can attitude, but do this in a state of peace and relaxation. So coming from that depressed state, realize that oftentimes it's bottled up anger, which is creating this. Being able to express your anger, and get it out. You don't want to bottle things up because then it tends to create this avoidance tendency and it causes this feeling of out of control. I don't know why I snapped at this person. I don't know why I snapped in general. I didn't know why I'm unhappy. All of a sudden I want to quit. I want to move. I want to, travel to a faraway land and never return. Like all of these, sort of feelings and these sort of, unrealistic or overwhelming feelings. So it's time to say, okay, let's bring it down from the overwhelm. I can. You need to have an I can attitude versus I can't. So this comes back down to your self-limiting beliefs. Beliefs are like what's running the show. It's the gas in the engine. It's the light to the candle. It's the spark that ignites the campfire. It's really where it's all at. And so you really need to understand and explore, how are my self-limiting beliefs accentuating or causing more disruption? How are my self-limiting beliefs, causing me aggravation? And where did I learn these? When did this first occur? Okay, got it. This was reflected back to me. This is where I haven't been supported. This is where I got too dependent. This is where I got too caught up. This is why this pattern is just, habitual again and again, repeating patterns where you feel like you can't change the pattern. Yes, you can. You have to understand the kind of what the pattern is and then break the cycle, break this pattern of, the super low and then the kind of questioning and then the feeling of avoidance. It's okay to face your fears. You can do it. Once you face one fear, then you can face another, then you can face another, and you can face another. Once you realize what these are for you, whether it's the fear of being alone, the fear of not being able to have success, fear of not being able to communicate, fear of not being listened to, fear of being told to, shove it, or whatever it is that you've heard that is so hurtful to you and it's really hurt your feelings, but you can't, express that to the person. You hurt my feelings, it just doesn't come out that way. Well, look at, at what this is all about. What are your lessons learned and how can you increase your self-belief, your belief in self in this area to be more empowering and adapt a I can attitude? This will help you to loosen up a lot of these avoidance tendencies that can occur after very hurtful relationship dynamics with those people who can be mean, rude, downright controlling, downright critical, manipulative, toxic, whatever it is. You can sort it out. Get some separation and realize you can handle this. You can sort through, you can figure this out. Believe in yourself. And begin to balance and manage and come to peace in your own body. Become more conscientious of slowing the breathing, becoming more mindful, relaxing the muscles, relaxing the tensions, let it go. Realize it's okay to relax and sort it out and confront and face these specific issues within yourself so you don't repeat the pattern, the pattern of abuse, being neglected, being disregarded. Begin to exit those patterns and begin to adapt a more I can do attitude. And with this, you'll realize that you can do it. You can identify where you're feeling stuck, where you're feeling too dependent, where there are bad connections, and eliminate those. Begin to realize that you can face this in the privacy of these videos, the privacy of your heart, and the privacy of really the divine and what you know to be true, which is in your heart and beyond. And realize that you can write this down and you can handle this. And as you move through one, you can move through the next and you'll get stronger and stronger. You can do this. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Let's not avoid the positive things that you can realize by dealing with this. Give yourself the gift of being able to confront these things and stop procrastinating in areas you feel that you have had an avoidance tendency or a procrastination tendency. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out.